Good morning all, and welcome to Indic Threads and my session. As Harshad has just now mentioned that I happen to be the first speaker, and I think it's a privilege for me to start the conference. Today I'll be speaking on garbage first collector. It's in short also known as the G1 collector. This is a new garbage collector which has been introduced with JDK 7 update 4. Right now I think we are into the update 25th or 26th, so it has been some time since it has been productized. You can wonder, why garbage collector assumes so much importance. So one of the strengths of Java platform or Java language is that it does automatic storage, automatic memory management. So by memory management, we mean that you don't need to worry about object allocation or deallocation, which was quite a troublesome area in other languages like C or C++. While this has obvious advantages, it also has a limitation in the sense that there's not too much control with the users. So when I say too much control, that the application developers or users don't have control into how objects are freed or allocated, etc., and they have to rely upon the JDK to do that job. And then that means that the JDK platform is basically responsible for the performance of the application. You can't help too much about it. You can basically play with the tuning knobs, but you cannot do it on your own. So there have been various options. Even till now, there are several options to do garbage collection, and they all have different kind of tuning options. They are suited for certain kind of environments. They have their own, specific importance. There were challenges with them. There are limitations with them. That is why the folks at Oracle have come out with this new garbage collector. This was earlier part of OpenJDK, and now it has been productized and it has been made part of JDK 7. So very briefly, this is the agenda I'm going to cover: memory management, generational garbage collectors, CMS, how it works in young and old generation, and challenges with CMS, a brief introduction of G1, how things work in G1, and then I'll be talking about certain command line options and logs, and in the end I'll be describing to you a small application which I had developed to compare both CMS and G1. So I think you all are familiar with this. I'll not take too much time on this slide. It's just to showcase that these are the components of a JVM, and the key components responsible for performance are the garbage collector, the JIT compiler, and the heap size. So JIT compiler we don't need to worry these days because with JDK 6 onwards it's quite optimized. So it's fine. I mean, we don't need to worry about that. However, garbage collector is something we still need to worry about because that takes CPU cycles, and these CPU cycles are quite costly, and if the garbage collector is stealing CPU cycles, obviously the application won't be getting that much CPU bandwidth. And then heap size. So heap size and the GC are related in a sense that if you have a higher heap size, you probably don't need to worry too much about GC. But if you have lower heap sizes, then GC will happen more frequently, and it's going to cost more. And as we all know that heap is a resource, and all resources are costly. So these are three main items typically which affect us while we do performance tuning. So for any garbage collector, the three main goals are minimal footprint. So when we minimal footprint, we mean is that how much heap size typically the application will have, and we all want to have less and less footprint. And high throughput. So what is throughput? So throughput simply means the amount of time an application spends not doing GC. So if you are doing application or business logic work, that is counted as a throughput. The rest of the time is counted as the garbage collection time. And we all want, garbage collection is seen as an overhead, and we want less of overheads and more of application work being going on. Then responsiveness, low latency. So what it implies? It implies that no pauses. So what happens is that when we are doing garbage collection, in different collectors at various stages, there can be certain pauses in general to compact the heap or do deallocation of objects. and while that time is happening, rest of the work stops, and that is what we call pauses. There are various kind of applications. Some applications like which do batch jobs or accounting or periodic jobs, they probably don't care about pauses, but they are more worried about throughput. They want to get more horsepower out of the CPU, and they are probably fine with few millisecond pause here and there. On the other hand, there can be applications like web services, UI kind of thing, where the throughput is not that high, but they want very high responsive kind of applications. So for these, for different kind of applications, there can be different kind of goals, and correspondingly different kind of GC choices have to be made. As in life, here also, it's not possible with any garbage collector to meet all the goals. So generally, you have to take your choice of two goals. Like maybe you say that I want a minimal footprint and I want a high throughput. You pick two goals, and then you tune the garbage collector accordingly. You cannot tune any garbage collector for all the three choices. You have to compromise at least in one of them. So, generational hypothesis. So this hypothesis has been in effect since a long time, and this is the most popular hypothesis on the basis of which garbage collectors are developed, and they are found to be quite high performant on the basis of this. So what it really means is that objects, there is a generation gap between objects also, like humans. So young people talk to mostly young people, and old people typically talk to old people. And similarly here also, most of the objects, are, they die young. So they don't get to grow old, and only few, live long. And the longer they live, the more likely they are to live longer. And old objects mostly refer to old objects only. They don't refer back to the young objects. So the heaps are typically partitioned or compartmentalized into two different generations, and this helps in a high performance garbage collection. I'm sure most of you would be familiar with this. I'll just briefly walk through this, how the hotspot VM structure looks like. As I just mentioned, so we have three main areas: the young generation, the old generation, and permanent generation. So permanent generation mostly stores the metadata of the VM, like static classes and all that stuff. Young generation is where all your object allocations happen. If there is no space left in young generation, then the allocation happens in the old generation. And when the young generation collector works, and the objects are tenured, or they get mature enough, they are promoted to the old generation. The young generation again is partitioned into three more compartments: the Eden and two survivor spaces. I have indicated them as S0 and S1. So Eden is where your objects get allocated, and at any given point of time, one of the survivor spaces is always empty, the rest is being occupied. So I'll walk you over in the subsequent slide, how what is the role of the different survivor spaces and how they interact with the Eden. But just to give you a brief, this is how your VM looks like. So as I mentioned earlier in the session that we have different choices for garbage collectors. Of course, G1 is a new kid on the block, but we always have, we used to have parallel GC and CMS and serial GC also earlier also. So serial GC, as the name suggests, is a serial or a sequential kind of a garbage collector. There's a single threaded garbage collector, and it works fine for certain applications which are like client applications. They don't have a high footprint, or uniprocessor kind of applications. In those kind of applications, serial GC works fine. Then if you have a server-side application and you're running on multiprocessors, then parallel GC is something which we should look at. So it has, it does the young generation in parallel. When I say parallel, I mean is that there are multiple threads, multiple GC threads which start working and they start collecting the garbage. That's what I mean by parallel. The old generation, of course, in this case is serial only or sequential only. Then CMS, it's a hugely popular garbage collector, the concurrent mark sweep garbage collector. So when we want, high heap sizes and we want low pauses, we typically used to go for CMS. So what it does is the young generation still happens just like parallel GC. There are multiple threads working at the same time. And in case of old generation, it just does in-place deallocation. What I mean by in-place deallocation is that the garbage objects are just released, and most of this thing is happening concurrently with the application threads. So there is one thread of the garbage collector which is running along with the application, and it is deallocating objects in place. There is no compaction which is happening. So what I mean by compaction is that if there is a heap and there are different objects allocated over there, it deallocates them, but it doesn't compact the free space. So while it gives you speed, but it can lead to certain other challenges like fragmentation and expensive allocation later onwards. We'll talk about that later. Then G1, so a garbage first collector. So this is a server style garbage collector targeted for multiprocessor machines, which their applications want to have high heap sizes and with very low latencies. So it's targeted for those kind of environments and applications. It is supposed to be a replacement for CMS as of now, and eventually the folks at the Java folks want it to be a replacement for all kind of frameworks. Going down the line, they feel that it's quite confusing if you have multiple options. It will be better if we have only one garbage collector, G1, with certain more tuning options, and you have to play around with only one garbage collector only. So that's what G1 promises, and it promises that even for heap sizes as high as 6 gigs, the garbage collection, the old generation garbage collection can happen within 0.5 seconds or so. It is not a guarantee that it will happen within that time or not. There is a very high probability that it will happen, and the GC will try its best to do that. But again, it's not guaranteed. It might take more also based on various factors. So what I'll do now is I'll first showcase how CMS works today, and then I'll talk about how G1 will is working in those operations right now, because G1 is supposed to be a replacement for CMS. So we'll just see a comparison between both the garbage collectors and how they fare with each other. I mentioned earlier that the heap is partitioned into 2 compartments, most old generation, rather 3. I'm not showing the permanent generation here. So the old generation and the young generation. So these greenish bluish kind of blocks, they show objects which are allocated, and there's one Eden, there are 2 survivor spaces. So one of the survivor space has some objects, this one is empty. So one survivor space will always remain empty, and this is the old generation. So what happens is during young generation collection, so the objects, the live objects at the Eden space and the survivor space, which are still young, which have not matured enough, they are moved to survivor space, the second survivor space. Those objects which have matured or which have aged enough, they are moved to the old generation compartment. And if this second survivor space becomes full from the objects in Eden or survivor space 0, then the rest of the live objects, they are also moved to the old generation. So net is that the Eden becomes kind of free, this survivor space kind of becomes free, and they don't need to kind of empty a space or something. The pointer at the Eden is just taken to the starting, so that object allocation now again, and then from the next cycle onwards happens at the starting. And it's stop the world pause. So stop the world is a very common term when we read or discuss about GCs. Stop the world is that rest all job which the application is doing, it gets stopped. Nothing else happens. Although it is parallel, there are multiple GC threads working in parallel, but nothing from the application side is working. But for young GC, generally the pauses are quite, small. They're not big enough. So as I mentioned, after the young GC, the Eden and the first survivor space become empty. The second survivor space has, the promoted objects, and then some objects get promoted to old GC, depending upon whether they had aged or whether the space had finished in the Eden and survivor spaces. So that was about the, the young generation. And when we come to the old generation collection, so in general, old generation is not as collection is not as frequent as young GC collection. And if we tune our applications properly, probably almost all the collections should happen in the young GC only, in the young generation only, rather than in the old generation, because old generation is costlier than the young generation. In order to be more efficient than parallel GC, CMS, as the name suggests, is concurrent mark stream. So it is concurrent, which means it works, mostly in parallel with the application threads. So as the application is working, it is also working. So there is a mark phase which marks all the live objects, and this mark phase in itself is divided into 3 stages. So first is an initial mark. It is a stop the world pause, but a very small pause. It marks, the live objects from the root, from the beginning of the, the heap structure. Those objects are marked. Thereafter, the concurrent mark phase starts, whereby application is also running, and you can see that the GC thread is also running. So the red ones are the GC threads, and the green ones are the application threads here. So the concurrent some mark happens, and it traces all the objects from the root objects. So those objects are marked going from the root to the down below tree. Thereafter there is another pause for the remark phase. This pause is little bigger than the initial mark phase, and in order to keep the pause smaller, there are multiple threads which work over here. What they do is that since the time the concurrent mark started or the initial mark started, there could be some more allocations happening, there could be some more object reference changes, and to take care of that, it has to do a remark for those kind of objects which get allocated or their reference change during the initial mark and the concurrent mark phase. When all the marking has happened, so then the actual collection, which is shown as a sweep, is concurrent. There is no pause here, and how it is able to achieve is that it just does an in-place deallocation. It just kind of sets the dirty bit to true or something, or maybe switches a flag that it is now available. There is no compaction happening here. So yeah, I mentioned that so all objects which are unreachable during the marking phase, there were no reference to them in any of the marking phase, they are just in place deallocated. So you can see here the dark ones, I've been tried to indicate that they have no references to them, or they are not referring to someone else, and they are garbage, and they will be just removed, or the flags will be just reset. They get deallocated, and you can see here that these are the existing objects, and the heap is left as it is. There is no compaction happening here. And then the GC prepares for the next collection. It does an accounting of data structures so that next time it is more optimized. Well, obviously CMS addresses stop the world pause during deallocation by doing concurrently, but it has its own challenges. So it has stop the world pauses during initial mark and remark. The remark one is a bigger pause, and it can be a cause of concern for many applications, especially if you have a very high heap size. It can be a cause of concern. Then because the heap is left fragmented, it leads to very large heap sizes. So if you have a RAM, probably it's fine for you. If you don't have that big a RAM, it can be a challenge for you. And fragmentation has a cost in a sense that next time an object comes for allocation, it becomes more expensive. If you have a compacted heap, then it is cheaper, but if you have a fragmented heap, then it is expensive. And CMS is hard to tune. If any of you have tried looking at the command line parameters for GC, or if you have tried tuning them, in fact before ergonomics was introduced, it was nightmarish. With ergonomics in JDK 5, it is still simpler, but still there are a lot of options, and people have to be really an expert in that the tuning to properly tune them. So, what is the alternative? So G1 is being touted, as an alternative to CMS, which will probably solve most of the problems which CMS has today. It is both concurrent and parallel. So when we say concurrent, its initial phases, the markup phase, the refinement phase, and the cleanup, they are concurrent. They happen along with the application threads they are running, and this avoids stop the world pauses. Then it is parallel. So its young generation is being done in parallel. So that avoids, big stop the world pauses. And it's full GC, but the problem, it has a limitation today that its full GC is still single threaded. It is not done parallelly. So people are trying to look into that. In the next few releases, maybe JDK 8 or 9, we may get a version of G1 which is where old generation is also done, multi-threaded. But today it is single threaded. But the good part about this is that most of the tasks of old generation collection are done piggybacked with young generation. So the stop the world pause, they are not two separate pauses, but within combined during the young generation pauses only. And a significant difference from CMS is that it is compacting. So your heap is not left kind of fragmented, it is compacted in every cycle. So object allocation cost does not increase, and the heap sizes also stay within limits. So G1 comes with the promise that we offer low latency of the order of less than 0.5 seconds for even high heap sizes like 6 gigs, better predictability, and easy to use and tune. So the command line options to switch on G1 GC or to tune it are quite simpler as compared to the rest of the garbage collection frameworks we have. Eventually down the line, this is supposed to be a replacement for all the 3 garbage collectors. So just as we went through CMS heap structure, we'll have a look at the G1 heap structure also. So if you see here, there is a similarity to the CMS or the hotspot VM structure, and there is a dissimilarity also. So similarity being that it still has the Eden, Survivor, and old generation regions, just like CMS had or parallel GC has. But a difference is that they are not partitioned, so they are not into separate compartments. Any region can take the role of Eden, Survivor, or old generation. So it's quite flexible in that. So the entire space is divided into around 2000 regions, and typically a size of a region is from 1 to 32 megs. And as I mentioned, there is no separation between different regions, whether Eden or young or old, and objects can move between them quite freely, and different regions can take different roles. There is a fourth region also, humongous region, which is not indicated here. That is for large objects. So if an object size is more than 50% of a region, and it is taking a contiguous region space, we call it a humongous object, and those regions are known as humongous regions. Currently, G1 GC is not optimized for humongous objects. So if you are using G1 GC, try to avoid having very large objects. So we'll go through the young generation and the old generation phases in G1. So here you can see that I've indicated the young generation region with green. and old generation is with this dark blue kind of thing, and recently copied are this dark green, and the non-allocated ones are light blue kind of thing. So during young generation, what happens is that the live objects are evacuated. So we have a term here by the name of evacuation. So we call it evacuation. So they are copied or moved to either a survivor region, and if it has matured enough, or it has become old enough, it is copied to an old region. It is a stop the world phase where rest of the application threads stop. But in order to speed it up, it's done in parallel. This is similar to CMS, and this is similar to parallel GC, which probably you guys are using now. And while doing it, you can see that it calculates these sizes for the next cycle. So it keeps on trying to achieve better pause time goals, and at each DC cycle, it calculates the sizes of regions, the existing regions, so that next time it can be more efficient. So if you see here that in these green regions, there would have been some objects which are kind of now become garbage. They don't have any references, so they are kind of collected. The rest, which are live, they all are evacuated to this one area here. So they are not fragmented. They are into single space here. So when we then we come to the old generation phase, it also has different marking stages, just like CNS. So there's an initial mark phase, but the beauty of this collector framework is that it does most of the operations piggybacking on the young generation. So there's a stop the world, if you remember I mentioned during young GC. And in CMS, in initial mark also there used to be a stop the world, but it combines both the operations so as to avoid separate stop the world pauses. So initial mark phase takes a reference of all the live objects from the root of the VM, and you can see here that just like similar to the previous slide, there are some young GC regions, there are old GC regions, there are free regions here. Then there's a concurrent marking phase. So this happens after this happens in concurrent with the application threads. So there is no stop the world pause. Application is running, and there are a certain number of threads of the GC which are also running to mark the objects traversing from the root objects. It can be interrupted by young GC. So let's say if a concurrent marking phase is taking longer, and a young GC happens in between, it will stop, or rather it will pause, and it will resume after the young GC has finished. So it calculates liveness information per region. So another factor which Jeevan uses is the liveness information. What do we mean by liveness? So liveness is the number of or the percentage of live objects in any region. So what Jeevan tries to do is that since it has to keep a promise of a pause time, it will not collect all the garbage objects at the same time or in the same phase. It will first try to collect those regions which have the max number of garbage objects, or which have the least number of live objects, so that you get more and more space in less and less time. The rest of the objects it can collect in the next cycle. So then there's a remark phase. This is stop the world pause. It has a stop the world pause. It completes the marking. Why we need a remark? Again, as in CMS, while the initial mark and the concurrent mark is happening, there can be more allocation than deallocations, which these initial mark phases are not aware of, and then they have to sweep the heap again and do a remark of the heap again. So empty regions are removed and reclaimed. So as I mentioned that if a region is completely empty, that is removed, and the liveness information is obtained for all the old generation regions. This will help us in doing the collection faster. So regions with low liveness, they are collected first. So you can see that these are regions where collection is going to happen, and they are emptied, and objects are evacuated from these regions to combined into a separate region where which will become an old generation region. So you can see from multiple regions live objects will be copied into one particular region. This helps in keeping the heap non-fragmented. I just mentioned the selected regions are collected and compacted. So we see a compaction here. So these are the objects which have been recently copied. Some objects are still left in their regions because it has to meet the pause time goal. It will collect in the next cycle. So in summary, so it calculates the liveness information per region. We just mentioned so that it does collection in a way that which is most efficient. Identifies best regions for subsequent evaluations, and there are no corresponding sweeping phases. There's another thing like why we call it G1. So it is garbage first. So it identifies regions with low liveliness first, and first of all it immediately collects them. So it first of all attacks the area which has the most garbage, and that is why it has been termed as garbage first collector. It has a remark phase. I mentioned that the remark phase has a stop the world pause, but they have introduced a new algorithm, snapshot at the beginning, and this is supposed to be much faster than the CMS remark algorithm. And completely empty regions are reclaimed in this phase. And then in the end there's a copying phase, and the young generation and old generation are reclaimed at the same time, and the old generation regions are selected based on their liveness. A comparison between the two characters. Both are concurrent. They work most of the time along with the application. Both are generational. They have Eden. They have a concept of Eden and survival spaces. Release max heap memory after usage. So G1 is supposed to release more memory. CMS as compared to G1 doesn't release that much memory. Low latency. So CMS, when it was introduced, it was also introduced as a low latency collector. But nowadays people want even lower latencies, and that is what G1 is going to offer. Throughput. So G1 is supposed to give a higher throughput while keeping a low latency, whereby CMS gives you a lower throughput. So in the beginning of the session, I mentioned that there are typically three GC goals. Like we have a throughput, we have a heap size, and we have a latency. So generally, if you want low latency, you have to sacrifice throughput. That is what we used to experience with CMS. But in case of G1, you don't need to sacrifice too much on throughput. Very important, it compacts, whereby CMS does not compact. It is more predictable, so it's quite predictable that you will meet your pause time. There is no guarantee that it will still meet those pause time goals, but it's quite predictable. So there is no physical separation between the young and old generations. There are no compartments. It is very flexible. Any region can take any role at any given point of time. So here, we expect the footprint in G1 to be slightly higher than that of CMS, primarily because it has introduced certain new data structures to take care of accounting so as to give you low latencies. So two most important accounting data structures are, one is a remembered set, which is known as R sets or R set also, and a collection set. So this tracks objects reference into a given region. So it basically gives a track that which all objects refer the objects in this particular region. Its footprint is less than 5% of the heap, but 5% is still there. We have to be cautious. If there are more inter-region differences, there's going to be a bigger remembered set, and a bigger set can lead to slow GCs. The advantage of remembered set is that during the mark phases, uh, it has to look at only the R sets to know that whether to calculate the liveness of the region. It need not look into the entire heap and check which all objects refer to the objects in this region. R set helps in that kind of calculation. So C set is or collection set is a set of regions that will be collected in a certain GC cycle. Its footprint is quite less, it's around 1%. So we'll go through the command line options. If you remember the options of CMS, probably you can appreciate that it has tried to simplify things. So you have a use G1GC, it will start the garbage collector, G1GC garbage collector. Most important parameter is max GC pause millisecond. You can set a latency, target. G1 will try its best to meet that target. It is not a guarantee, it's a promise at best. So while talking about options, we have to, you can also use, there are various other options also which I am not covering here. Like you can set heap sizes, or you can set the young generation size or the cutoff or the threshold when the GC should begin. So one important thing is that in case of CMS, we used to have a old generation minimum threshold, which used to be 20% or so. So that in case of CMS is 20% of only the old generation. Whereas if you choose that parameter in case of G1, that will be 20% of the entire heap, because there is no compartment in case of G1. But if you set that parameter, G1 is going to ignore this parameter. If you tell the garbage collector that okay, you start doing the collection at this stage and you don't go beyond that stage, then it thinks that probably you know more than the garbage collector. You understand your application better, and it will stop following its own algorithms. So it can be quite risky, and generally it is advisable that you go only by, if you're using G1, you just indicate to the collector what you want, what is your goal, and let it figure out itself what are the different thresholds and cutoffs and when it wants to do the GC. So tuning options, well, it is a good, it has a lot of promises. It's not that for any kind of application you start, go ahead and jump on it and start using it, because it has some cost also. So if you don't have a latency problem, then you're better off using parallel GC. It does, multiple threads are there, and young GC is done in parallel. And I mentioned the 200 millisecond earlier also, but this is the best effort kind of thing only. So this is the initiating heap occurrency percentage I mentioned a short while back. It triggers the GC to start, the GC. But if you set this option, it is going to ignore the pause time target. And this is another, threshold for a region to be included in a C set. So it indicates that how many non-live objects should be there in a region for it to be collected. So that's another threshold. How many mixed GC concurrent cycles? How do you want to, have young GC and piggybacking of old GC cycles on top of the young generation? So that kind of target can be set. So I mentioned earlier, this is a very important precaution that don't fix these sizes. If you do that, pause time target will be ignored. So I'll quickly go through the logs, the logging. So if you have ever seen, GC logs, so your application or your garbage collector talks to you through your GC logs. So I mentioned earlier in the talk that GC is a very important parameter for tuning your applications. So when you start collecting through a certain garbage collector, you give certain options. You're not sure whether it's going to work fine for you or not. It may take many runs maybe a few hours, or sometimes in some cases few days also. You need to give different options, different tuning parameters, see what is coming out, how it is behaving, and maybe retune it again and again. And the single most important way of determining that is through the GC logs. And G1GC has gone one step ahead. It does not want to hide anything. It wants to tell you that where is all the time going on. And it has very elaborate logging mechanism. And it's like in 3 phases. So the most basic is the find. It is like, it starts with verbose GC, and it's equivalent to the print GC which we have today. And you can see this is typical, some minimal information which gets output. Then the next level is finer. You can use the print GC details for this log level. So it has various things like min-max times, root scan, RSet, different other times, the occupancy ratios of different spaces, and some sample output you can see here. The next is the finest, and it is unlock experimental VM option. So GC log level is finest. It includes the worker threads information. So as I mentioned that young GC is done in parallel. They are the worker threads. So it includes the specific worker thread information also in its output. So you can also determine how a time is being displayed. You can also have a date time stamps also included in the GC logs by these options. I will, suggest that if you are into tuning of GCs, start looking at GC logs, and that will help you in properly tuning your GC. Some keywords, I'll not spend too much time here, there are too many. So probably you can see later with the slides also. There's a parallel time, overall elapsed time of the main parallel part of the calls, external route scanning, time taken to scan the external route, update remembered set, buffers that are completed but have not yet been processed by the concurrent refinement thread. So there are different, keywords which have been introduced in G1. Scanning remembered set is there, object copy, termination type, GC worker thread information. This all information can be obtained from the logs. GC worker, clear CT, other CSET, reference processes, reference queue, free CSET. Here there are some data structures. So one problem which sometimes happens is evacuation failure. So if the JVM runs out of the space, so there's an evacuation failure, and you'll see a 2-space overflow markup in the logs. It's a very expensive operation. Why I'm saying expensive? Because the GC still has to happen. The accounting depth structures, the R set and the C set, the region set and the C set, have to be recalculated. So you have to, see which all references are applicable for a particular region, and what all regions you want to collect. They have to be recalculated, and the C set has to be updated appropriately. So it becomes quite expensive. So if the heap size is not tuned properly, or if there's not enough RAM, then this problem can come. Yeah. So in the last section of my talk, I'll present a very small, simple application which I developed, and I ran it with both CMS and G1 just to see myself that how both of them fare with each other. So as you can see here, I just created few float arrays, on 190 of them, and then put them into an array list. So each float array reserved 4 megs of memory, and 4 into 190. So I had 760 megs of memory allocated. I just wanted huge, heap. And after each iteration, I used to release those arrays so that the GC starts happening, and then sleep for some time. So as to give some time for the application and the GC to relax, and repeated the same steps again and again, certain number of times. So this was run on the same laptop, so it's nothing special about it, and I use the Visual VM tool to evaluate the GC logs. So Visual VM works today both for G1GC also. although I was a bit surprised because G1 is new and I didn't expect Visual VM to have that capability, but it does. So if you want to go ahead and start exploring G1 GC, I would suggest play around with your applications and at least you can use Visual VM. If you don't understand, all those keywords, to be honest, I also don't remember all the keywords, but if you use Visual VM, it helps a lot. So with CMS, these are the typical command line options. I'm sure you're aware of it. You start using CMS, print GC, GC timestamps, etc. So if you see here, this is the CPU utilization and this is the memory utilization. So this blue is the GC activity or the cycles spent during the GC, and this yellow orangish is basically the application threads working. You can see in each cycle there are significant traces of GC going on. So you can realize that GC is also taking significant CPU cycles as evident. So I mentioned 750 megs or something. So it touches 750 megs. It goes to the top in some jumps, like first jump is here, then another jump here, it then comes here, then comes here, and it is like oscillating in each cycle. Another important facet is that when we release all the memory, not all the memory is released. You can see down below, there is still some significant heap around 200 megs which remains allocated. So despite its best effort, CMS is not able to deallocate the entire memory. Around 200 megs is still being, being allocated or being used. The same application was run with G1. The argument just in the concurrent mark sweep with G1 GC. The rest of the stuff is same. So you see here, there is almost no trace of the GC activity. Don't go away this minus something. I think it's a bug in Visual VM. It is giving the GC activity as minus 488.3. So it is incorrect. So there is almost no trace of GC. There is something here, very small dot. Probably you may not be able to see from that much distance. So it means that GC is quite efficient. It is not taking too much of CPU. And if you see the memory, so it goes to top in one shot, remains at top for some time, comes below, and in most of the cycles you can see it reclaims entire memory. Here you can see there is almost zero memory being used. So it reclaims most of the memory, which is garbage. So the garbage collection is being done faster, it is being done more, and it is not using too much of CPU. So short comparison. So as I just demonstrated, it is able to, G1 GC is able to reclaim the max heap size. It almost touches zero most of the times. And CMS is not able to do so. It is still taking 200 megs of memory. There is lesser CPU utilization for G1. There was no trace, in fact, of CPU in case of G1. And so it goes in three distinct jumps. So there are jumps, there is a difference in the way they get memory also. And some figures, the time taken for execution, this is very important. So the same application, the same number of for loops, it took 7 minutes 5 seconds in G1 and it took 7 minutes 56 seconds in case of GC. This is a difference of 51 seconds. Can you guess where are those 51 seconds? Where did it go? GC. Yeah, GC is fine, but what exactly is GC? Exactly. That's the stop the world pause. So you can realize that the stop the world pauses are much higher in case of, 51 seconds in a 8-minute application is significant. So there's significant pause time if you are having higher memory. The CPU utilization, you can see the max used by G1 GC. So I checked the logs later onwards. So the max it touches is 27.3% at a given point. And in case of CMS, it's 70%. There's a huge difference. Max GC activity again is 2%, 24%. Heap sizes are similar. I mean, there's not too much difference here, but you can still see that used heap size is higher. I mean, this was little surprising for me also because I've seen that, or I've read that if you start using G1, you can expect that the heap size will increase a little bit, essentially because of accounting data structures like R set and C set. But I didn't see any difference in the max heap size, and in fact, the used heap size was more in case of CMS. Maybe it's my application, maybe it's my platform, whatever the reason is, but the results are slightly different as per theory. Yeah, so the big question is G1 for you. So evaluate all options before moving to G1. So it's not a one pill for all kind of a thing, at least today. So evaluate all other options before you start using G1. If you are a small application or a client application, you're better off using serial GC or parallel GC. If you don't need low latency, if you are a periodic application or a batch processing, go with parallel GC. If you don't need a big heap, use a small heap, use parallel GC. If you need a big heap, go with CMS. If you have challenges, try to tune it. And by default, CMS may not give you best results. And if tuned CMS is not performing well, try to tune it further. And if problem persists, ask yourself whether you still require such a high heap and with that much low latency. If yes, if the answer is yes, that you want that, then only you start using G1. And in case of G1 also, play around, with the heap size, try to tune the max pause time, check what is best for you, then only go for production. So the idea being that down the road, G1 is supposed to replace all the collectors. Maybe 1 year, 2 year down the line, we'll have only G1. Today, if you go for G1, first see what kind of application you have. If you have a high heap kind of an application and you still want low latencies, then yes, you can start looking at G1. But if your heap size is small or if you're good with high latencies, you can see if CMS or parallel GC works for you.
Are there results like where we're saying that in code to previous slide, for example, you just need low latency. So we are saying use parallel GC.
Yeah.
But if I just use G1 against it, are there results which say that the parallel GC is better than G1? Or the second one don't need big heap? So I mean, why we have to go through all that evaluation step?
Okay, so this is just a suggestion. You can do your evaluation yourself also. So if you see the key difference between parallel GC and CMS is, if you see, at least in JDK6, we didn't used to have G1, we used to have parallel GC, we used to have CMS. So parallel GC is, it's starting point of a server style collector. Serial is of course targeted for client style JVMs. If you have multi-processor machines, you want to use a server style garbage collector, then you can go for parallel GC. So you see the GC goals, there's a contradiction there. So you want a high throughput, you want a low pause time. Both are not possible. You have to compromise somewhere. Most of the applications need one of them only. I mean, if you have a batch kind of an application, you probably need good throughput, but you don't mind a few millisecond delay there. But if you're using, let's say in a telecom application or for call processing or JTAPI, because these days Java is being used everywhere. So if you're using for call processing, you're using JTAPI, CTI kind of a thing, or using web services kind of a thing, where even a few millisecond of delay can be a problem. There could be jitter in the call, or there could be low responsiveness for the user. So you need highly responsive. Then you can compromise throughput, and then you can choose CMS. That's the idea. Now coming to your question that let's say someone is using parallel GC and it wants to move to G1 GC. What will happen? So one thing for sure can happen is that you'll require higher heaps, right? So if you have more RAM, okay, fair enough, go ahead and use it. Another thing which can happen is, the throughput, that can get compromised. That's another thing.
You see, one problem that we see with any of them that you have to do fine tune like a different region also, which I don't think is the case with G1.
Yes.
So the configuration is simple because many times you don't get those parameters right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I share that pain myself. Having said that, I would still share that with JDK 5, they made our life easier. So before JDK 5, you had tens of hundreds of parameters, this threshold, that cutoff, that size, this size, right? And you have to do a lot of tuning. With JDK 5, they had a parallel concept of ergonomics. It's up to you. You want to use the traditional tuning options, use it, but that is cumbersome. Or you can use ergonomics. You can specify 3 goals: the throughput goal, the heap size goal, and the latency goal. And then let the garbage collector do on its own. So CMS and parallel GC did a decent job with that. I mean, if you give a, let's say, a latency goal to CMS, it did a, fair job. I would say not a good job out of it. So you can say the new collector is one step ahead, that it does a better job at, honoring those promises. That's the difference. There are those hardcore options still available with G1. They are less today. I mean, they have reduced it. Eventually, they don't want you to use them because if you use them, then G1 is not going to, you will not get the benefit of its new algorithms. It will think that probably you know better how to, to do the collection, and it's up to you. I mean, the thresholds are yours. When to start the GC, when to end the GC, how many times the GC should happen, you know better, and probably he'll go with that only. But if you give the targets, then it will, go by its own algorithms.
So is it fair to say that if I have a heap on my disposal and the low latency is my target, then G1 is the best pick, right?
So as I mentioned that you also have to be cautious that there could be a higher heap size required.
Yeah. So I said I have that,
yeah,
and my goal is the low latency.
Lower latencies, yeah.
Then I think G1 should be the best, right?
It should be best, yes, in the category. Yeah.
Thank you.
So last slide, some references if you want to